Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty. And carrying on our best of 2022 rundown, we're going to do Goodnight Paradise from TKO Comics. And before we get too much into why I'm doing this particular one, I want to talk a little bit about TKO, because a while ago, people started asking for some TKO stuff in the shop, and we couldn't get them. Mostly it was Garth Ennis' 5-issue mini-stories about a war, but a few of the people were asking, and eventually they all turned up something we could order, either in box sets of the original issues or collected editions like this. And I ordered one of everything that was available, and I have read quite a few of them, and everyone I've read I've really liked. The three that stand out for me are obviously this one, but also Red Fork by Alex Packnadell and Fearsome Dr. Fang by somebody whose name I forgot off the top of my head. And the reason I like all three of these is because TKO really hits my progressive leftist kind of, I want these kind of stories out in the world, but not necessarily overtly being leftist progressive. Fearsome Dr. Fang sounds like it's the worst kind of yellow peril Orientalism. It isn't, actually subverts all of that and is a worthy successor to Big Trouble in Little China. And Red Fork is a really good, almost eldritchy horror kind of thing. It's also massively anti-capitalist. It's brilliant, and you should check both of those out. This one is my sweet spot even more. It, to all intents and purposes, it's a crime story, but it's more of a mystery. There is like a thing that happens, somebody dies, but we actually find out what happened fairly early on, or at least we think we do, and the vast majority of the story is trying to figure out the details of it and trying to get justice for what happened. And it stops it just being about, there is a mystery, let's find out who did the mystery and solve the mystery and tell the people who did the mystery. It's actually just a really good character study, and they use the fact that it's a murder mystery to get into that. What actually it's about is gentrification, of all things. The main bad guy is a tech bro gentrifier, but yes, the actual concept of gentrification is a major issue with it. It's set in Venice Beach, or Dogtown. It's fantastic for me because it is the setting of both my favourite skateboarding movie and skateboarding documentary. And it kind of resonates a little bit that they've made the setting one of the characters. When I say they, by the way, I should really tell you, Joshua Desart. I apologise, Joshua, if you ever watch this. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce your surname. Desart sounds right to me, but obviously feel free to correct me. Alberto Ponticelli and Julia Brusco. I again apologise. That C at the end might be hard or soft. I'm not 100% sure. But yes, they make Venice Beach one of the characters in it. And when I say that, I don't just mean like, like London is a character in the urban fantasy thing. Like, if the story took place anywhere else, it would be a different story because of the people who live there and the history of the place and the expectations of it. It really does feel like this is a story of Venice Beach, and the characters in it are also of Venice Beach. It's brilliant. And when we're talking about characters, the main character is an alcoholic, homeless person. He has friends who have mental health issues and other addiction issues. There is some fantastic queer stories going through it. There's an awful lot of POC representation. There's even one of the characters who grew up in a house which fully embraced white nationalism, and his story is incredibly sympathetic. And that's one of the things I love about it. All of these people are sympathetic, but also none of them are just good guys. I don't think there's a single person in here who you can look at and say they always acted with altruism at their heart. Some of these people just do good things because they have their own reasons to, and it ends up being a good thing. And that's fine. In fact, it's better than fine. It's fantastic because no real person in the world is ever that simplistic. There are no just heroes and villains. Everyone is getting through their day as best they can and makes little decisions. And the decision isn't always simple. I mean, in my head, I was like, you can either be an arsehole, you can not be an arsehole. And sometimes people can justify making these bad decisions because of what they will get out of it and how it will make their life better, or even just their life palatable, survivable. And when you're living as a minority and in a minority group and in a minority place, and there's an awful lot of people within even your safe space who will look down on you, there are an awful lot of really hard decisions you're going to make. This comic book grabs hold of that issue and throttles it and shows at you and makes you can't look away, because it's also grabbed hold of you and it's throttling you. And the art does this job so well. When we're talking about like real characters, there is a style of art which I always think of as like an attempt at photorealism. I don't think any comic book artist has really done it, but Tim Bradstreet is like my go-to guy for this kind of thing. And this looks like it's got that kind of vibe to it a lot of times. It's like a really naturalistic way of doing the lines, and the colouring feels very organic and hand-done as well, which is fantastic. But there is no just template for person, which I quite like. Everyone weirdly looks like they could be a caricature. but it's so grounded and so down to earth that they don't look like caricatures. But every person has a different body type. Their heights are different. The way they hold their shoulders are weird. They have a smile which does different things to their face. When they talk, they do it by looking at you or looking down or looking away. Every single little nuance of personality comes through these characters, not only in the writing, but also in how they're drawn. This kind of collaborative effort is just phenomenal. And it is worth pointing out once again that, yes, that's exactly what I think of how they've portrayed Venice Beach in this. There is different aspects of this town, and people look at it in different ways and see different things, and they change like POVs and even little bits of colour palettes here and there to show that this is a living, breathing city, and stuff is different depending on who you are and how you travel through this space. And add to that, the mystery. It's brilliant, because there is more going on than you think. Because we have these characters who are so well-rounded, how they respond to different people will be different depending on who they are, sometimes what mood they're in. And that changes motivations for what we think is going on, and we are kept guessing quite far into it. It could have been just a story of revenge, but it wasn't. It could have been a story of redemption. The main character, his son, turns up to try and reforge a long-lost relationship with him. And that could have been what the story was about. It could have been him realising that there is more going on, or it could be just a story that there is no point trying to redeem yourself. All of things are part of the story, but the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. There is enough going on here that I think you can take so much from it and find something to love about almost anything you read in here. It is a genuinely wonderful comic book, and yes, it's a graphic novel trade paperback, but this is simply because I couldn't get the single issues from TKO Publishing. I had to just grab this when it came out. And I know it kind of breaks my rule a little bit, but I don't care. It's good enough that it deserves to be on here, and it deserves to be this high up. You should be checking out stuff that TKO are doing, and you should certainly try and get yourself a copy of this. I like this so much, I'm buying it as a Christmas present. This particular one here, this is a Christmas present to one of my best friends. It's okay, though. He never watches my reviews. He won't know until he opens it. It'll be fine. Not many to go now. We are heading towards Christmas Eve when we get the big reveal. Until then, just make sure you hit the like and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's going on. And look after yourself, everyone. Look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.